All right, another way to find out whether or not a relation is a function is by using the vertical line test, right? And let me just say right on the front side, um, you want to use the vertical line test when you have just a graph. When you have a graph, so that's important. You do this when you have a graph. You need to use a vertical line to kind of drag it across to see if it touches more than one spot. So use a vertical line to see if it hits the graph in more than one spot. To see if it hits a graph in more than one spot. At the same time. I know that's a lot of words, but it's actually a lot simpler than that, right? To use a vertical line graph, vertical line test. Let's just say I had a graph of a function that did something like this, or of a relation that did something like that. So let's just say that's how the graph of this particular relationship is. I can tell whether or not this is a function by using the vertical line test. If I took a vertical line and drew it right here, notice that it only hits it in one spot, so I'm okay so far. What if I drew a vertical line and put it right here? Notice that I hit it here and here, more than one spot. This one actually hits it in three spots, more than two. But the fact that it hits it in more than one, that tells me that it is not a function. It should use a vertical line and see if it hits a graph in more than one spot at the same time. If so, then that is not a function. Okay, so the vertical line says very simple. In fact, I actually use my pencil to slide it across my paper to see if that's the case. I have this other document here that I use for other practice or other notes. Let's take a look at numbers 11 through 13. These are graphs. There is no point on here, or I should say, everywhere I draw a vertical line, I will always just hit this graph one time. So that is a function. Now let's look at this graph. Now it doesn't have something connected, but these are still points. Remember, they are coordinates, right? There's a coordinate, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one. So those are actual relations. Like if I were to write these points out, I would get something like this. But I can still use the vertical line test because it's a graph. If I draw a line right here, I'm good. If I draw a line right here, I'm good. If I draw a line right here, I'm good because I'm only hitting it in these points one at a time. If I draw it here, well, boom, boom, I hit it twice. Once here and once here. That's enough for me to say it's not a function. In this case, it is simply just a relation. And here, if I draw it here, I'm not even touching it, so it's not that big a deal. But anywhere else I draw it, I'm going to hit it twice. 1, 2. So this is not a function. It is a relation. That's all there is to it. All right? That's called the vertical line test. Vertical line test.